Hey, good morning, fuckers. It's the Daily BM. Hey, what's going on, Mikey?
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you what, man. So, I was away this past weekend, right? And
Yes.
I went to Mount Dora, Florida.
Yes.
And I stayed at the Lakeside Inn.
Right.
Okay. You've stayed there before, right?
Yes.
Hey, when you were there, did you feel any presence?
Oh, Lakeside Inn? No, it did not. Wife would not stay there. Sorry. We stayed at. I thought you said.
Asshole. Where did you stay there? Not invite us, you dick.
Yeah, you said. I thought you said. I thought you were going to ask me if you stayed in Mount Dora. I didn't realize. I didn't register Lakeside Inn. We stayed in Mount Dora, and it. I mean, side note, real quick, not to derail your story, but
sure.
I spent months researching all the different locations in there because my wife is definitely scared of ghosts.
Right.
Freaks out. I picked the one place that has never, ever had a ghost sighting. It had 3 different ghost buster people,
right?
Whatever they're called.
Mythbuster / ghost
paranormal investigators. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Had 3 sets of paranormal investigators come in and find no paranormal activity. Okay, at this location. So I was like, okay, we can stay at this bed and breakfast. It's safe. You know, we get there and the lady starts talking to my wife and she's like, yeah, we've got ghost activity. And I'm like, well, what about all this stuff? She's like, well, they just don't know, blah, 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 blah. So, of course, freaked my wife out. We got no sleep that night because the whole time she kept slapping me going, is that moving? Is that moving? Did you hear that? Is this? I'm like, oh, my God. This is a 100-year-old house. So everything's going to fucking move.
Creaks.
Okay? Everything creaks.
Yes.
Doors just open because of wind and pressure changes and,
the doors changes. Open.
Yeah. So I stayed at the one place that's supposed to have no ghost activity. I did not stay at the most haunted place that you just mentioned, the Lakes. What is Lakeview Inn?
Lakeside Inn.
Lakeside Inn. Yeah.
Lakeside Inn.
I did not stay there. Did not stay there.
Now, I'll be honest with you. I didn't feel anything this time when I was there because we stayed there multiple times. But one of my first ones there, and we'll go on the paranormal kick today. Why the hell not? So one of my first days there, I definitely knew something was up. We left the room. Nobody had been in the room. We know for a fact nobody had been in the room. And the fan was on and the light was on. And I know for a fact I turned that shit off when we left because I'm weird about leaving lights on in rooms. Right. Period. Even when I'm on vacation, dude, we clean up after ourselves, which is weird. But we're that weird couple. We don't like leaving the room like shit for the house cleaners, even though I know it's their job, whatever. They're the ones that pick their job, but we just feel like dicks.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, we pick up all the towels, we put them in one spot. We pick up all the garbage, put it in the garbage can. We don't leave anything laying around on tables like assholes that you see. I've walked past people. Have you ever walked past people and seen their doors wide open? How much they destroy rooms? It's like people are assholes. Well, anyway, that's a whole nother podcast about how people are assholes. But we literally we were in there, and then I had it where the closet light turned on and the door opened. And then we were talking in the bathroom once and, talking about something that happened there. One of the story of the young girl or whatever that drowned, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden the water spigot turned on.
Oh,
shit. I'm not bullshitting you. The water spigot turned on and she looks at me. I looked at her and we were like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? But we just stayed there. We didn't care. But I started watching paranormal shit. Of course, I'm in a hotel and I'm watching paranormal shit on TV. That's a place that's haunted. So of course you're heightening, everything because your senses are starting to get heightened and everything else.
Yep.
So it kind of got me thinking about animals and paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
People argue dogs don't really have the same senses as cats and things of that nature. But I can tell you, our house, and don't ever tell your wife this, but Jamie has thought that the house was haunted here.
Right. Yes.
And we've had some weird shit happen here. We'll be sitting in the room and I've debunked it because, I thought, no, whatever, dude, the elliptical turns on. That could be any type of electrical impulse. But we've removed the battery from the unit. And it's one of those things that when you turn, it'll still self-generate. You know what I'm saying? And the bitch comes on. How the hell is it getting power? Because there's nothing turning that little generator in there. Yeah. And there's times where it's been, I hate to admit it, there's times where there was weeks, maybe months, we never got on the damn thing. So we know it's not capacity where it had a charge. Because it would have discharged. So I can't debunk it because it was shit, man.
So you're thinking a ghost moved the pedal to make it kick on?
Maybe either move the pedal or it, like the energy itself.
See, but the problem is ghosts pull energy from the room.
I know, but it was weird.
Not give energy to items.
So maybe there was some charge in there, you know what I mean? And then just enough to make it go tick, you know what I mean? But it came on and it stayed on and went off. It wasn't one of these like little flash pans, like dink, dink, you know what I mean? Because I could go, okay, that's a capacitor thing. But it was on and I could see the LEDs on it. And she looks at me, I look at her, we're laying in bed and all of a sudden it goes, doot, turns off. And I was like, okay. Yeah. So I've had some weird shit happen in this house, especially if I'm like alone. No pun, but some weird shit. But so when we stay at places, we're like, we're always like heightened, when we know that it's haunted, so our senses are up and going. But I was watching on TV where they were talking about like animals and stuff, and dogs. They're saying that like dogs, for instance, they're not as like highly aware as cats, and because there's no evidence that like dogs can see ghosts kind of deal. So where like with cats, there's been like things where like the cat is, acting strange, staring in corners of rooms, and then all of a sudden something happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like cats can see like light changes and things like that, like a flash, like a quick flash where we might miss it. And the cat turns its head and it's looking. I always feel like cats are like, and I sound like a cat owner here, but I feel like cats in some ways are smarter than dogs when it comes to being heightened senses of awareness. Like you can literally see the wheels turn in their head. Like they're processing thoughts. You know what I mean? Where like dogs are like, da, 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 hey, here, watch me. I can lick my own butt. You know what I mean? Where like cats are like, either they're plotting to kill you or they're processing thoughts, man. And they're like, I think they have a heightened sense of awareness when it comes to paranormal activity. I mean, maybe that's why they have like, I hate to say it, you don't see dogs sitting next to a witch on Halloween, and things like that. You always see the cat. Anytime there's paranormal shit, there's always a black cat or whatever. You know what I mean? So maybe that's something, paranormal stuff. But I mean, have you had any weird shit happen to you like when you've been out and about with paranormal shit? Like weird shit?
I've told you about my childhood. I think I even told. I think we had an episode on the show, didn't we? I can rehash it.
Yeah, just rehash it just a little bit because
when I was a little kid, I kept seeing a woman in white in my bedroom, in a white night and a white nightgown, like an elderly woman. Oh. And she'd always look confused and it would scare the shit out of me. And I always thought it was like in a lucid dream state.
Right.
And one night I like woke up and I felt like somebody choking me, and she was like screaming at me to like get out of her house.
Right.
And it scared the ever living shit out of me. Like, have you ever been so scared where you couldn't scream? Like you couldn't.
Yep. Were you frozen?
Anything? I was completely frozen. Then I got up and just ran the fastest I've ever ran out of my room into the kitchen. Because it was early in the morning, like 4 a.m. My parents were already up. Because they were early risers, and I ran out there just panic stricken, couldn't even talk. And they were just like, "Oh, you were having a nightmare. Just go back to bed." Standard parents. And then like a couple of weeks later, my dad asked me to go up in the attic to clean out, to go get some boxes because my dad was a bigger guy, and he had a hard time getting through the rafters and stuff in the attic.
Right.
So he'd always send me up there to do those type of jobs because I was little and skinny, and I went over by my bedroom and I saw a box sitting there, like a shoebox looking thing. And I pulled it out and it was a bunch of pictures of the old woman that had fucking been choking me, like as a child, and had a bunch of like like stuff in it. So I fucking panicked and threw it in the garbage because the garbage ran. And then once I threw it in the garbage, like I never saw her again.
Interesting.
It was probably one of the weirdest ghost encounters that I've ever had. I've seen
so
doors.
You've actually seen apparitions and things?
I've seen an apparition. Yeah. Yeah.
No shit. I've still yet to see one.
It scared. It wasn't, and I wish that 8-year-old me would have had some ability to like capture it on video or on tape or some type of evidence, because now all I have is my memory of the time.
Do they even have that back then in your childhood?
They had the big ass VHSs that you had carried on your shoulder, like the big ass
freaking movie camera on top of your shoulder.
Yep.
It's a JVC on the side of it.
Yeah, at that time they had those big ass JVC recorders that were expensive as shit.
They were like $3,000.
Yeah. But I mean, it would, or like even just taking Polaroids of it, but I didn't. I was so fucking panicked, and it was just a shoebox with some mementos and stuff like that. Like it was like a keepsake box. And then, I found out later that the lady that owned the house, not before us, but the one before that, she'd actually passed in the house in that room. So I don't know by discarding that stuff if that released her spirit, or now she's living in a junk, garbage landfill somewhere now. Really fucking pissed off. She's pissed off. Really pissed off. I mean, we had the weird stuff happen to us at our office, if you remember.
Yep, I remember that.
When we were doing our,
we were doing
Ghost Squashers paranormal investigation.
Our Ghost Squashers, we call it.
Ghost Squashers.
Guys, if you guys don't know, we had an office space for a while, but it used to be like a for anybody that's not listened to our past shows from like 150 episodes ago, we talked about the paranormal, or more actually. We talked about the paranormal a little bit about our office, but we had a office that was basically a tarot card reader and a psychic and all these things. So who knows what she was pulling in.
Oh, she pulled in,
yeah, from the afterlife that hung around the office. So Mike and I decided we got a wild hair up our ass one night after maybe a bourbon or two after hours. You know what I mean? And, we were like, hey man, why don't we this week do a little Ghost Squashers and like see if we got anything here? And so we set up cameras, the whole 9 yards, and with night vision. Mike sits down. We go to review the tape, and I guess that's the funniest thing is listening to our reaction, because we were recording ourselves at the same time when we were listening back. And you want to tell them what we heard?
I don't exactly remember what we heard. I kind of mentally blocked it out. It was something like "Don't touch that" or "Get away from that." Right?
Don't touch that.
Yeah, don't touch that.
And it was plain as day, guys. I mean, like Mike literally takes his hand down and he goes to move something. And when he
no, I was using the little EMF reader, and I was walking around touching all of the things around the around the place.
Right.
And you were doing your best impression of Zach Baggins. Yeah, with you had your black hat on and your thick black rim glasses and your all blacked out clothes, and you were like antagonizing. If you're here, ghost, come see me. Like whatever you were doing. Like,
don't be afraid to talk to us. Don't be afraid to speak up.
Yeah, you're doing that shit, and then I didn't even hear it when I was walking around. Like I was just getting EMF readings in the room, and then we sat down to record the audio recording that we had running in the background, and that came out. It's like, don't touch that. And it was like, and you were like, you looked at me and you're like, you're fucking with me. And I'm like, you're fucking with me. And you're like, and we were like, that's it. We're out of here. In true paranormal explorer activity, the minute we had some type of little bit of evidence there might have been something there, we ran like the little cowards we were. We're like, fuck out.
We didn't run like little bitches too, man. We were like, all right, man, I think it's time. We were like Eddie Murphy when he talks about on that thing. I know I bring up Eddie Murphy, but he was like, all right, man, too bad we can't stay. We got to go.
But we did set up 2 digital cameras.
Correct. On night vision.
And they had infrared, and they had full battery life when we left, and they were 8-hour batteries, and we were only going to be gone for like 5 hours because we opened back up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we left at like, 2 in the morning?
Yeah, about 2.
Yeah, about 2. So it was going to be 6 hours.
6 hours
so we should have had plenty of battery life left over. And when we came in, we got the tapes, and both cameras had stopped at the exact same time frame, but they didn't shut off. Now these were the what do they call those? What do they call these? Scan discs?
Yeah,
little memory cards.
Little SanDisk readers.
They had the SanDisk memory cards in them, and they had full 7 hours of recording?
6 hours of recording.
6 hours. 6 hours of recording. No, because we recorded before we left. Like it stopped.
Yeah. I mean, we recorded for an hour, but we were there.
Yeah, so it was like it was 7 hours of recording, but at that 1 hour mark, right after we left, the image froze on both cameras, but recorded for an additional 6 hours of a frozen image.
Correct.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
Like
just static frozen.
It was like just completely static frozen recording. So it wasn't like it went dead. And then both of them were completely dead when we went in.
Yeah, and see, we would have debunked that if it would have just been one camera. But the problem was same timestamps, same different cameras, two different power sources because they were on battery.
Yeah, 2 different batteries, both fully charged, and they froze. The image froze, but it still kept recording frozen images. And the reason we knew it froze is because there was a blinking light in both of them, and the light stopped blinking.
Yep.
And became solid, and then there was dust particles that did not move in the air. That just stayed frozen in the air. So we knew that it was a frozen screen, but it had kept recording on frozen images, and both of us were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know you hated the movie Contact, but that's what it reminds me of. It's like, well, what was in the background on the other 4 hours of recording?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that something? James.
Yeah,
Woods. He's like, well, yeah, I don't know.
That was interesting. That was one of our more creepier ghost squashers investigation. Which we need to see if that's the
ghost squashers. We'll try to see if we can throw it up on social, if we can find the imagery and see if we can find it on the server. But that all being said, yeah, man, it's crazy. But back to the animals, my cat, for instance, my 2 cats, right? And this house has got a little bit of some creepiness to it, man. I mean, seriously, that I live in. We've dealt with it for so long, we don't care. But all of a sudden, we'll be sitting there in the middle of the night, just the TV's at a low volume. We're just kind of sitting there hanging out. All of a sudden, both cats at the same time will get up, perk their heads, look towards the kitchen, and there's nothing happening. But they're like this in a solid stare, and then all of a sudden, we'll hear like this noise from the kitchen, like something drop. And I'll go, "Did you hear that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "You gonna get up there?" She's like, "No, I'm not getting up there. You do it. You go do it." So I'll turn on the light again.
You're like, "You go, no, you go." I've seen too many horror movies.
Yeah, I'm like, I ain't stupid, dude. I ain't the guy that goes, "Hey man, let me go check that shit out without a weapon." You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter because what's gonna happen is, if you go investigate, you're the one that's gonna get hijacked and possessed. And if you're not the one, you're going to get murdered by the person that comes back. Exactly. So you're fucked either way. Either way, you're fucked.
See, my cats were smart. They just sat there with their head perked up and their ears straight up, and they're like just staring at the damn kitchen. And I'm like, all right, man, fuck it. I'll go. And then I decided, she's like, no, I ain't going in there. You go. So I was the dumb one. All right, I'll go. So I go in there and I flip the light on. I'm looking around. Nothing. Nothing's out of place. Nothing. But I know for a fact I heard, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Like I hear a drop, and I'm like, okay, this isn't adding up. But I can't tell you how many times that shit has happened because we've also been sitting here, and the cats all of a sudden stare at the front door.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the front door will go. It'll be it'll make like somebody went boom and hit the door. And you can blame that on air pressure change, whatever. People will debunk it, but I kind of find it ironic that my cats all of a sudden are staring, and then it happens.
Really?
Yeah, dude. And I'm telling you, they look, and they're like, and all of a sudden, not even a second or two later, it's boom on the door. And then they're like, and then they kind of look at us. I'm like, fuck you, man. I ain't getting up. You go over there. You know what I mean? I'm like, you go, cat. If you want to go find out what the hell it is, Mr. Curious. But yeah, so some weird shit happens, man, around here, dude. So I'm just like, okay, all right, man. So, and then I'll go open the front door. And I'll look around. But then, of course, my wife is like, hey, man, don't open that door because if we ever got rid of a spirit, supposedly what they do is you invite them in when they knock.
Oh, really?
She read up where if they knock at the door and you open it, you're inviting them in. So I'm like, huh, cool. Welcome to the House of Freaking Horrors. You know what I mean? Where everything happens.
Welcome to the House of Horrors with Brad and Mike.
Yeah. Are we talking about horror films or horrors? I was just wondering.
Horrors.
Just wanted to clarify. Are we talking about the House of Horrors or the House of Horrors?
Horrors.
Oh, okay, cool. Wait. If you had a sister, I'd say leave your sister out of this. But anyway,
leave your sister alone.
Anyway, guys, we're going to try to see if we can throw up onto the website, not throw up like physically, but just, we're going to see if we can put up on our website and or in our socials. So keep an eye out on them. With any of some of our paranormal stuff that I have recorded. I also have some sound files I can actually try to mix out of places I've been, like the Stanley Hotel. I've been to the Marshall House. If you never just Google these places, guys, they have high ghost activity. I've been there, witnessed some stuff. If you haven't listened to that show 200 episodes ago or more, hey, just telling you, go check out those places because they are great for paranormal. We also went to Piney Brook, I think prison. That one I had the most activity ever. So I'll actually try to find those sound files and put them up there too as well. And, and then don't forget to head over to thedailybm.com as well to follow us on our socials and things of that nature. Mikey, let's get out of here, man. You got anything for anybody before we go?
No. Everybody have a great day, and we will catch you later.
All right, guys. So we will see you guys on the flip side.
Have a good one.
Deuces.